Hey, friends! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Hallmarkies! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and today I'm excited to have a very special guest. She is one of the most recognizable faces on Hallmark, with lead roles in over 20 films. She is a writer, producer, blogger, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and a good friend of everybody's heartthrob, Justin Timberlake. Welcome, Nikki DeLoach.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Hello, Hallmarkies.
I'm thrilled to have you here today to
Thank you
chat
so
about
much for
your
having
movies.
me. I listen, I'm so grateful for the love and support that I always say the Hallmark fans are the best fans. And
Yes.
so it's such an honor to be able to continue to do the Curious Caterer movies. And the only
Yes.
reason we get to do them is because of the fans,
Oh, yes.
because of their support. And honestly, those ratings, you know,
Yes.
it keeps us going. So thank you.
Yes. Of course. And we're grateful for all of you as well.
Thank you for saying
Of
that.
course. And actually, this is your second time on the podcast, but the first
Hmm.
time as my featured guest back in 2022, you joined Andrew Walker in his first appearance on the podcast, and it was at the time of the first Curious Cater film,
That's right.
which was so
Wait,
much fun.
did that first one air in 2022?
Yes, it did. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy to think that was
I
only two
know.
years ago.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, fun. Okay, it's like
It
a
was so much
reunion.
fun. Hallmark is about to release the fifth installment of the series. Tell us what it's been like working with Andrew and how has your dynamic developed and changed since the first film?
We've always had a really good rapport with each other. I mean, even from A
Hmm.
Dream of Christmas all the way back then,
Hmm.
he says I'm his sister from another mister.
Hmm.
And I do think that there's something that's really true and real about that. Like
Hmm.
sometimes you just meet people and you're like, did we know each other in another lifetime? Have we
Yeah.
like been actual brother and sister in another lifetime? And we've always had an incredible chemistry. And I
Hmm.
think we're super safe to have that chemistry on screen with each other because we're both so stable and solid
Hmm.
in our personal lives with our families.
Hmm.
I think like I've been in this industry for such a long time and I really see that like why does it work so well with Andrew? And I think a
Hmm.
lot of why it does is because he feels safe to lean
Hmm.
into the romance and the chemistry and all of that
Hmm.
and to play and to have fun because he also knows that like I have a steady home life, he has a steady home
Hmm.
life, and like it's just like a safe playground for us to be
Hmm.
able to just play on. And we've always had that since day one. So that's something that has like never ever changed with the two of us. I think one thing that has changed is just like, he's now like a partner for like a long time. Cause I mean, I throw my whole heart and soul into these.
Hmm.
I want every movie to be the best that it could possibly be
Yeah.
for our audience. If we're
Hmm.
asking you guys to sit down and give us 90 minutes of your life, I want to make it worthwhile for
Yeah.
you. And I also, I care a lot. And I think that, and I'm constantly on set being like,
Hmm.
no, we have to fix the crime scene. This isn't right. We need this.
Hmm.
We need to fix the
Yeah.
scene. Hey, guys, we need, like I'm constantly like navigating that while on set. And
Hmm.
I think what has changed is now I'm not having to really do that alone. Especially on
Hmm.
this last movie, to be honest, on number five is really when that shift kind of happened in a bigger way where I, said, "Hey, Andrew, I like really need your help with something." And like he jumped in and then I had to leave the next day to go do my Christmas movie and Andrew kind of had to take us to the end and finish that last day
Hmm.
and sending me videos of like look at the crime
Aw.
scene. Look at how good this looks
Yeah.
now, because it was something we were struggling with the day
Mhm.
before and making sure it was right. And so now it's like I have a partner, like I literally have a work
Mhm.
husband. And I think
That's
before it was
awesome.
like we were really good like actors coming
Yeah.
together that had really good chemistry. And now, I'm his work wife and he's my work husband. So I have a partner inside of this and he
Mhm.
has a partner. So I think that's been the biggest shift in like such a positive way for both of us.
Mm. That's awesome. And I think I said this when you both were first on. You're one of my favorite Hallmark couples, I
Oh,
guess.
thank you so
Leading
much for saying that. I
couples. Of
really
course, yes.
appreciate it.
Yes, you have great chemistry, and I hope you get to work together many more years.
Oh,
So,
me too. And knock on wood, I hope so too. That'd
knock
be
on wood.
amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Since we're talking about Curious Caterer, the new installment, Forbidden Fruit, is set to premiere on Friday. Can you share with us a teaser for this episode?
Yeah, of course. What's set? Okay, one of the things I love about this movie is that it's
Mhm.
all about being young and being nostalgic
Mhm.
and going back like to Goldie. It's her first date with
Mhm.
Tom, and they're
Yeah.
going to see a band that was her and Goldie and Marla's favorite band in
Okay.
high school, and has remained one of their favorite bands. And it was a big part of her life, like her teenage years and coming of
Mhm.
age. And she's also falling in love
Oh.
kind of for the first time in a very different way with him.
Mhm.
With her ex, she loved him, but
Mhm.
it wasn't that like that butterflies take my breath away kind
Mhm.
of love that you often experience whenever you're, you know,
Mhm.
young and falling in love for the first time.
Yeah.
She's experiencing it after she's already been through her first marriage, and
Mhm.
she's a grown woman with a child, who's a teenager herself. And her daughter Olive is experiencing her own coming of age as a teenager.
Mhm.
And so um, I love kind of that theme and that thread that's woven
Mhm.
into this movie of really that fun electric um butterflies in the stomach type
Mhm.
of energy of that we get to experience when we're really young. And I hope that all of us kind of, because I always feel like the women sometimes live vicariously through the
Mhm.
women in the movies, right?
Yeah.
It's they want to kiss Andrew Walker too. Um, and so I'm hoping that like Goldie is just a vessel
Yeah.
for all the ladies out there watching
Mhm.
to remember their first love and to remember what those feelings felt like and to kind of let themselves, you know, drift away inside of that
Yeah.
for 90 minutes. And obviously,
Yeah.
there's a dead body and a mystery to be solved, but
Mhm.
that's the
Yes.
stuff about this last one that I thought was really special and fun.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see them go on their first date, even though we all know it's going to go wrong.
We all was and we don't know.
I actually watched, I think it was last night, the sneak peek that Hallmark put out.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it was the scene when y'all were talking about going to the restaurant, but it was all booked up.
Oh my gosh.
Such a great scene.
That was improv.
That was improv. Wow, that's
That
great.
was improv, which was really fun. Um, because we're always trying to find moments like, for
Yeah.
example, the romance and that kind of relationship is
Mm-hmm.
usually not often kind of fully explored or built
Yeah.
out when we first get the script, and Andrew and I
Mm-hmm.
take the script and we coach with my writing and producing partner
Mm-hmm.
Megan McNulty,
Yeah.
who's also an acting coach. Megan and I are both
That's
acting
awesome.
coaches. We've done it for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
But she's exceptional. We sit down with Megan and we arc it out ourselves and kind of build that
Mm-hmm.
into, because as much as these are about mystery, especially with Curious Caterer,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's a character driven mystery where
Mm-hmm.
people want to see Goldie and Tom because it's me and Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see that chemistry, they want to see that
Yeah.
romance involved. And so that was like one of those kind of scenes that we wanted to like kind of build some humor into, build some romance into.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun.
Yes. And I always love hearing when actors can improv scenes. In improv, I was actually in an improv club in high school and I had a great time. It was so
I
much
think
fun.
everybody, honestly, I think everybody should go and take improv classes at some point in their lives, even if they're not actors, because,
Yeah.
you know, what improv teaches you is such a team building exercise
Hmm.
because you have to totally depend on your partner. If you throw out,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we have to get on this rocket, your
Yeah.
partner has to yes and
Hmm.
you and go,
Yep.
oh, yes, we do. And
Yep.
I'm a little nervous about getting on
Yep.
this rocket. And you have to yes and each other. So it's all
Hmm.
about like building it's a team and you can't like
Yeah.
just let your partner like fall on their face. So I love that about improv, but it
Yeah.
also the thing about improv that I love is some nights you're going to fall flat on your face and it's not going to
Hmm.
land, but you get back up, you do it again, and the
Hmm.
next time it lands,
Yes.
and you learn to just like let go of
Hmm.
perfectionism and
Yeah.
actually focus more on play. And I
Hmm.
think in
Yeah.
all of our lives, if we could let go of that need to be perfect, the
Hmm.
need for perfectionism, and instead let ourselves kind of wallow around more in the
Hmm.
idea of like we're all just playing here, we're all just
Yeah.
daydreaming, creating, playing.
Yeah.
It's really helpful exercise.
Yes. It's so much fun. I had a
Yeah.
great time. What was your favorite behind the scenes memory from filming this movie?
Oh my gosh, well, one of my favorite, I mean, Lachlan Monroe is a national
He's great.
treasure.
He's great.
He's done like 300 movies. It's like he's
Hmm.
worked with everyone from Johnny Depp
Yes.
to Steven
That's
Seagal to
amazing.
like everyone. And so when he's on set, he likes to hold court often,
Wow.
and then he just tells stories about being on set.
Oh,
And um, Tom Hanks, refers to it as the hang. Like making
okay.
movies is like you make the movie, but it's also like really
Hmm.
about the hang on set, like everybody
Okay.
hanging. And
Yeah.
granted, we make these in 15 days. So like for specifically for me, there's not a lot of hanging. Okay.
No.
Like I'm
Yeah.
involved in like every decision
Hmm.
and I'm in every scene and I'm with the director the entire
Yeah.
time and we're doing this, but every once in a while I get to also go and like sit in a chair and hang back with all the rest of the
Hmm.
kids. And by kids, I mean adults who are actors in the movie.
Yeah.
And the hang is so fun because we have such a lovely and amazing group of
Hmm.
people.
Yeah.
Dance parties, I love dance parties. I think there's
That's
nothing that
awesome.
changes the mood of a
Yeah.
set like a fun, awesome,
Hmm.
just turn the music on and just start dancing. And when you do that, like everybody just lifts
Hmm.
up, because
Yeah.
especially for our crew, I mean,
Yeah.
they do not stop. They are
Hmm.
moving equipment, setting up lights, shifting cameras, carrying heavy, heavy stuff
Wow.
upstairs, downstairs, in
Hmm.
trucks, out of trucks, across fields, across like they are the physical demand that 15 days of a job like this like their bodies
Hmm.
take. um it's a lot. And so like
Hmm.
if you could just like turn on some music and everybody kind of take a moment to dance and laugh and remember that like we're just making a movie, right?
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
we're not doing heart surgery or brain surgery, we're
Yeah.
making a movie, people. I
Yeah.
think it's a really important thing, especially like if you're number one on the call sheet. You really have to set that tone that, like, hey, we're going to make the best movie we can possibly make. Let's also try and have some fun while doing it.
Yeah. Very true. And even like on my mission trips, sometimes we'll have dance parties on our site.
It's the best.
One
Oh,
year,
love that.
2012, no, 2011, I believe. My site, on the very last day, we were done with work. Like we had finished everything we needed to. It was Friday afternoon, and we taught our homeowner how to do the Cupid Shuffle. I wish I had that on video because that was so much fun.
It is. Dance releases endorphins and they're happy
Hmm.
endorphins. And or like Elle Woods says in Legally Blonde, you know, and endorphins make you happy.
Happy
Happy
and
people
happy.
don't kill other people, you know?
Yeah.
Um, And I think there's something true. And I know she meant in that movie, like actually literally kill somebody. But
Yeah.
what I mean on a set is like, you don't explode on
Hmm.
somebody. You don't like
No.
lose your temper
Yeah.
on somebody or like, like I think it's important to like keep that going. And Andrew and I
Hmm.
are we're really big on maintaining a very happy set and making sure our crew is really
Yeah.
happy. Yeah, they
And
deserve
it's,
it. They work so hard.
yes, they do. It's such a fantastic ensemble cast, and I think it's one of my
Thank you.
favorites on Hallmark
Thank
as
you.
well.
I'm biased clearly, but like I it
Yeah.
doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't get any better than like Riley and
Hmm.
JC and
Yep.
Lachlan Monroe
Yep.
and Mesa, who plays my daughter. I mean, they're great
Yes, they're
actors
awesome.
who
Yeah.
show up and they're 100% all the time and they're just phenomenal at what they do.
Hmm. Forbidden Fruit is set around Tom and Goldie's first date at a music concert. Do you have a favorite concert you've attended, and who were some of your favorite artists?
Oh, yes. Actually, Andrew and I we were talking about this on set of like some of my favorite concerts that I've been to because I've been to a lot of really
Mm,
good concerts.
me too.
I think my husband and I, this was many years ago when I
Hmm.
like we had to like literally like save our money every month
Wow.
to put away to be able to afford to go to this concert. It was the Rolling Stones and Lenny Kravitz
Wow.
opened up for the Rolling Stones and I was a huge Lenny Kravitz fan. I have every
That's
album. I
awesome.
love Lenny Kravitz. And Lenny played for like an hour and a half, and the Stones played for like 2.5 hours. It was
Wow.
crazy. And I mean, you were on your feet the entire time. It was phenomenal. I've done Billy Joel, Elton John was an incredible concert. That was
That's
like
awesome.
epic, two of the
Hmm.
greatest performers of
Yes.
all time. That
Hmm.
was incredible. I also have to say, my buddy Justin Timberlake, man, like there's no one out there that does what he does. No one. I think
Yeah.
he's the greatest performer of our generation and will go down in history as being one of the greatest performers of all time. And there's nobody that gets on a stage for 2+ hours and dances the way that he does,
Yeah.
but also plays the piano, plays the
Hmm.
guitar, like sings the way that he does.
Yeah.
It's so organic and easy. He makes it look
Hmm.
like he's just breathing, like that he makes it
Yeah.
look as easy as breathing. And I've been
Hmm.
in a girl band. I know how hard that is to sing and dance at the same time and to do
Wow.
that. And so I just think, you know, what he does is absolutely
Yeah.
phenomenal. And if you haven't seen his latest tour, you got to go see it. It's fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah. A lot of great
Oh,
concerts.
also, um, Indigo Girls have always been one of my favorite bands. I've seen them a couple times, and that was amazing. And then a very, very special concert that I saw last year for my birthday was Brandy Carlisle and friends at the Hollywood Bowl. And I'm a huge Brandy Carlisle fan.
Yeah.
And the friends that she brought on stage were
Yeah.
Annie Lennox and Joni Mitchell. And
That's amazing.
I was beside myself when Annie Lennox stepped on that stage. And then when Joni Mitchell stepped on that stage, I couldn't even believe it. It was like, it was unbelievable. It was phenomenal. So that concert will forever go down in history as like one of my favorites.
That's amazing. I've been to a lot of great concerts too. I grew up on 70s music because of my dad. So I've been to
Oh, yeah.
see America, Loggins and Messina. So those are two of
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorites.
Kenny Loggins. There's one of Kenny Loggins' albums that I played. I had to end up buying another copy because I played it so much. I played it out. Huge Kenny Loggins fan.
Me too.
And a huge fan of 70s music because that's what I listened to and my
Hmm.
dad a lot too. In fact, my first concert was with my father, and we went to go see the Doobie Brothers.
Also, my first concert was Stan Fogelberg when I was 2.
That makes us so cool, in my opinion. I just got to say, my mother and dad, I remember they were taking a group of church kids to New Kids on the Block. And I was like, I don't want to go see New Kids on the Block. I think I was like 11. But then when dad was like, hey, you want to go see the Doobie Brothers? I was like, you bet. Yeah, I want to see the Doobie Brothers. So
Yeah.
I was like that kid that was like definitely not into New Kids in the Block, but was definitely into Doobie Brothers.
I think one of my top favorite concerts would have to be the Jonas Brothers when I was in high school, of course,
So fun. So
and
fun.
Taylor Swift.
I mean, T Swift, I love her so much. She's the best. She's
Yeah,
incredible.
she puts on a great show,
That's
definitely.
awesome.
Which Curious Caterer film has been your favorite so far, and why?
Oh, that's
I
hard.
know that's a tough question.
Okay, I'm saying this because I haven't actually seen this last one yet.
Okay.
So I haven't seen the movie yet. I've acted in the movie, so I'm only gonna judge it based on 1 through 4. Okay.
Okay.
So we have to
Yeah.
kind of keep number 5, this last one, where that's not in the mix. So out of Curious Cater 1 through 4, my favorite would be 4. I thought
Hmm.
that movie turned out so well. It
Yes.
was a really like hard
Yeah.
movie to kind of navigate. There was a lot of red herrings. We
Hmm.
were really in this like kind of one location, but we broke it up into
Yeah.
2 different locations. And there was just a lot of moving pieces. But I think our
Mhm.
director, Paul Diller, did such a phenomenal job with it.
Yes.
And so that one so far out of the first 4 movies, that number 4 is my favorite. Yeah, Foil Plans.
Yes. I love them all, but I think I have to say the same thing. They just keep
Yeah,
getting better and better.
thank you. And and from what I've heard, this one is fantastic
Hmm.
and people love it. And I'm getting great feedback from the network. So
That's
um,
awesome.
I'm like really hopeful, but I'm that person, I'm that actor that like,
Yeah, I get it.
or writer or producer, like
Hmm.
until I see that cut, I'm like holding my
Yeah.
breath. And then I'm also like watching behind a
Hmm.
pillow with one eye open the whole time, just
I
like
totally
this.
understand. I totally understand. Yes, but they've all been great, so I know
Thank
this one will
you.
be too.
Thank you so much.
So let's turn the hands of time back and learn a little bit more about Nikki DeLoach.
Oh my
When you were a
goodness.
little
Okay.
girl, did you ever imagine that you would one day be a successful actor?
You know, I did. I really did. I had very big dreams as a little girl. At 4 years old, I knew what I wanted to do. I would lay on my trampoline
Oh,
and I would look up in the clouds and I would think like, oh, because I loved like back in the day, I watched so many musicals with my grandmother, and
mhm.
it's how I would spend most of my time, and is being at her house and watching movies. And I really loved like Barbara Streisand and Funny Girl and Julie Andrews and like all of those women.
Mhm.
Carol Burnett, the Golden
Yes.
Girls, Designing Women, like all of
Mhm.
them. And I
Yeah.
really did think, I was like, I I don't know why. I lived in this really tiny small town and I didn't know how and I didn't know why, but I was like, that's what I'm going to do one day. And the truth of the matter is that I got in the industry at a very young age. And as I got older and older in this industry, what I realized is like, you know, my big dreams that I had of like, being like a movie star like Sandra Bullock
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
doing that, those were, I had to really kind of let go of that. And instead, now it's really like the fact that I can pay my bills being a working actor and do what I love to do. I feel like that is the success. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need to be famous. I don't
Mhm.
need to have the Oscar. I don't need to have the Emmy. I'm not saying that those things wouldn't be nice.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, when I was really little, I thought about it in one way.
Yeah.
And then when I got into the industry and realized just how hard it is to actually be able to pay your
Mhm.
bills as an actor. Like,
Yeah.
it is an impossibility. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, it
Yeah.
is a miracle that I am still in this business,
Mm.
that I'm still getting to work, and I'm still getting to do what I love to do. That is an actual miracle. So for
Mhm.
me, success looks a lot different than what it did whenever I
Yeah.
was little,
Mhm.
but I have a really beautiful life. And
Yeah.
I get to make movies for an audience of
Yeah.
people who it really matters to them.
Yeah.
It really matters. It brings them comfort and
Yes.
joy and happiness, and especially sometimes in their deepest, darkest valleys,
Mhm.
when they are
Mhm.
struggling so much in life. And I'm so
Mhm.
fortunate to get to talk to our audience and to fans and really hear their stories about how a movie that I was a part of
Mhm.
really gave them hope at a time when they needed it most.
Mhm.
And so I'll take that any day of the week over
Mhm. Yeah.
being, hugely famous or having a
Mhm.
trophy up on my wall.
Yeah.
To be able to be a part of people's lives in the way that I've been able to be a part of
Mhm.
people's lives on Hallmark has really meant the world to me,
Oh,
truly.
yes. And you are great at what you do, and all the
Oh,
Hallmarkies
thank
are so
you.
glad that you're a part of the Hallmark
Thank you
community,
so much. Me
of
too.
course. Yes, it's a great community, and I've said this before, the Hallmark talent, whether it's actors, screenwriters,
Mm,
directors, some of the kindest people I've ever met
they
in the
really are.
industry. Yeah,
They are. Thank you for saying that, but it's
of
true. Like
course.
everybody is just wonderful, truly.
Yeah. And it's so refreshing because you don't see that every
Oh
day
no,
now.
you don't. And especially not in our industry. I think that
Mhm.
in general society right now, especially right now, it's so hard to watch
Mhm.
other people tear down
Mhm.
other people,
Yeah.
and the
Yes.
negativity and the bullying and
Mhm.
I'm like, what message are we sending our kids that we
I
are
know.
putting people in leadership positions who treat other
Mhm.
human beings this way? And
Yeah.
where did we lose our civility as a
Mhm.
society? And
Yeah.
it has been such a breath of
Mhm.
fresh air every day
Mhm.
to be on set, like, because the talent at Hallmark, it's
Mhm.
true. All the
Mhm.
actors, the writers, you know, they're really just grateful to go to work every day
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
to tell uplifting stories. And we lift each other up, we support each other, we hold each
Yes.
other through really hard things as well. And it is really, really
Mhm.
rare, I think, in today's society to find, especially you know, inside of a big business like the
Mhm.
entertainment business, a pocket of
Yeah.
that where there is so much tenderness and so much love
Mhm.
and so much care
Yeah.
towards each other, for sure.
Yes. I agree. And that's what drew me to Hallmark Channel in the first place. Just the
That's
positivity
amazing.
and the uplifting content that they put out. So,
That's amazing. I love that.
when did you first start getting serious about acting and began to work toward your career?
I knew what I wanted to do at 4. And I
Okay.
think I did my first, like, I started doing commercials and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, Probably when I was like 9 or 10.
Okay.
And I was doing like some kid modeling and talent
That's
competitions and
awesome.
stuff like that before that. But I think
Yeah.
like 9 or 10 is when I first started like doing like actual like acting in commercials and
That's
kids'
amazing.
movies. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. When I was a little girl, one of my favorite shows was the all new Mickey Mouse Club. In fact,
Oh,
I was a Disney Channel fanatic. Tell me how you ended up on that show and your friendship with Justin Timberlake.
oh. Honestly, it was a miracle that I ended up on that show because,
Oh,
you know, there were so thousands and thousands and thousands of
a lot
I
of
think
great talent.
over 20,000 kids that auditioned
Yeah.
for that
Wow.
show in North America. And so it truly was like, in my opinion, still to this day, a miracle. Because what made me any more talented than anybody else? Like, you know,
Yeah.
nothing really. And I was actually out in Los Angeles for a talent competition, and I had won a different talent competition. And from winning that, I got a free trip to LA to compete in this bigger overall talent competition. And when I was in LA, there was a lot of talent agencies out here that wanted to sign me and wanted, my family to move me out here to LA. And my mother was like, no, she's not coming to LA. But my
Oh.
grandmother was like, well, what can she do in our area back home in South Georgia? And one of the agents said to my grandmother, well, if she does have an agent down there, tell the agent that they are going to be having auditions for the new Mickey Mouse Club, which will be in the next year.
Mhm.
So my grandmother told my agent, who is in Jacksonville, Florida, Denise Carroll,
Mhm.
and sure enough, that audition came around about a year later. And it was, when we talk in our industry about cattle calls, which means thousands and thousands of people just show up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it was. It was just lines as far
Wow.
as the eye could see of kids.
Wow.
And I got a call back in Atlanta. I went to Atlanta for the callback. And then I got a call to come to the casting camp in Disney. And the casting camp had 26 of us.
Okay.
And it was obviously the 7 of us who got the show, but also Jessica Simpson and a lot of other names and people that you would
Yes.
recognize today,
Mhm.
actually,
Yeah.
were at that casting camp. And then it wasn't until, it was a long time after that casting camp before we got the call to say,
Wow.
you're in. I'm trying to think back. My mother would probably actually have a clear idea, but at least
That's
a
okay.
month went by, if not like 6
Wow.
weeks before we got the
Okay.
call about, the fact that we were in the show.
Yeah. That's
And my whole life changed.
Mm.
That show was one of the greatest work experiences I've
Mhm.
ever had
That's
in my
awesome.
life. And from the first day of the casting camp, I met Justin on day 1. And it was like an instant, let's be best friends forever, okay?
Oh, I love that.
Very similar to Andrew in that way, in the sense that, like, with Justin too, it was like, he's always felt like family to me. And we became each other's chosen
Yeah.
family throughout the years.
That's
And our,
awesome.
our oldest kids are best friends.
I
And
love that.
I just think the world of him and Jessica's the greatest.
Mhm.
You'll never meet, a person
Yeah.
with more kindness and
Mm.
care, and she's awesome and just perfect for him. So
Mm.
I'm really lucky that our families get to like
Yeah.
share our lives together all these
That's
years later.
awesome.
And then it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy because, I was 11. We were 11 when we met each other at the
Okay.
casting camp, and my oldest son is about to be 11. And
Okay.
so Justin and I were like, when I saw him over the summer, it's like, it's so crazy to think that our kids are about to be the
Wow.
age that we were whenever we first met
That's
each other and
awesome.
became
That's
friends.
so
Like,
cool.
so crazy. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yes. Justin is great. And actually, one of my dad's good friends in Nashville works with Justin, Joe
Oh, no
Fisher.
way. Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. He's
Yes.
the best. He is the
Yes.
best. He's,
He's
he,
great.
he's great.
Yes. So I understand that your dad and your brother are Georgia Bulldogs. My mom has a bachelor's degree in fashion merchandising from UGA, and my dad a master's in screenwriting. It's crazy around our house during football season. We were all
Oh, yeah.
crushed
The
by this
Alabama
year's
game.
heartbreaking loss. Yep, Alabama.
Ugh. I mean,
But
there's one team that I cannot bear to lose to, and that is Alabama.
Alabama. Yep.
What a crazy game that was.
hmm But there was definitely poetic justice in seeing Vandy destroy the Tide this past Saturday. Do you ever get to attend Georgia football games? Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. I used to fly home for 3 to 4 Georgia
That's
games a year
awesome.
before I had kids. And my kids have never been to a Georgia game. And so I was going to try and get home this year to go to a Georgia game. But because of my work schedule, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it happen. But there's still hope. You don't know. We don't know. We don't know. It
Fingers
could end up
crossed.
working out. But my
Fingers
uncle
crossed.
has season tickets. So he was like, listen, if you can make it, if you can get the family here, they're yours, for a weekend. So
Fingers crossed.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping, but yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
Georgia fan in this house. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope to one day go to a Georgia game. I've never
Oh,
been
they're
to a
so
college
fun.
football game
Oh, they're so
ever.
fun. And, I remember the first time I went to like a USC game, and I was like, and they were like, oh, just wait. And I was like, this is nothing. This is not, it doesn't even come close to what it is
No.
like to go to an SEC football game. Like, the
Mm-mm.
tailgating, it starts like at the break of dawn in the morning,
Yeah.
like the packed stadiums, the sea of red and black as it makes
Mm-hmm.
its way to Stanford Stadium. Like it is such a fun thing to do. So I hope you get to
Yeah.
go too.
Oh, yes, I hope so. I've actually been to the Georgia campus. Like I've seen the stadium. I've just never been to a game.
It's
And it's a
beautiful.
beautiful campus. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. Moving on to Hallmark. Your first role on the network was in the movie You Cast a Spell on Me, starring alongside Ryan McPartlin.
That was a movie that I did for a different network that Hallmark
Oh,
bought
okay.
as an
Hallmark. Okay.
acquisition. Yeah.
Acquisition.
So that was a film that Mar Vista did,
Okay.
and then it was just the little engine that could. We made that movie for
Okay.
so little money,
Wow.
and it turned out so well. And
Yeah.
so Hallmark ended up buying it.
That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Could you share a little bit about that and how you got the role?
That was actually a straight offer for me. I was on a show called
Okay.
Awkward at the time, and which was a really big, it was the number one cable comedy on television.
Okay.
And so, that was at a period of my life where like a lot of those offers were coming through, and I read the script and I thought, well, I'm kind of a witch myself. Like I see
Okay.
things and hear things and I've known things and it's been that way since I was a little
Mhm.
girl. It'd be really fun to actually like kind of play a witch with magic in a
Yeah.
movie. And I'm so glad I did because Ryan McPartlin is
He's great.
still such a great friend to this day.
That's awesome.
And you will never meet a better dude. He is just the
Oh,
best. And we had
he's
so
great.
much fun, so
Yes.
much fun together. So it was a great experience, start to finish.
Yeah. It was such a fun movie, and
Thank you.
I love the concept of it too. And actually, one of my favorite shows that unfortunately is not on Hallmark anymore is Good Witch, and that was a
Oh,
great show as well with
yeah. I
Catherine
like
Little. Yeah.
anything with magic and witchiness. I love it.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite.
Such a fun show. Yes.
Practical Magic, one of my favorite movies ever.
Yep. You've also worked on projects such as The Perfect Catch, Reunited at Christmas, Love to the Rescue, Taking the Reins, 5 More Minutes, The Gift of Peace, and A World Record Christmas, which are some of my personal favorites.
Oh, thank you.
Was there anything memorable that happened during the filming of those movies that you can share?
Lots of memorable things. I always
Mm-hmm.
say that there's kind of always like a movie within a movie happening.
Yeah.
Um, Specifically on Taking the Reins, that one was very special to me because, I had produced before
Yes.
and I've been a producer for years, but it was the first movie that I produced with my now writing and producing partner, Megan
Mm-hmm.
McNulty, who's also my very
Mm-hmm.
best friend.
Yeah.
And we ended up also having to rewrite that whole movie and script because the script that got turned in wasn't exactly what we all wanted it to be. And we really wanted to cast, we had specific ideas about who we wanted cast in that as Corbin as my dad and Scott Porter as my love interest. Scott had never worked on the network before, and
Yeah.
Corbin is just a phenomenal actor that works constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew that if we wanted to get those actors, the script had to be not just okay, it had to be fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
And so Megan and I had 5 days to rewrite that movie and send it back out because they had
Mm-hmm.
passed on the first script. And
Mm-hmm.
we sent it back out to them and said, will you read this draft and potentially reconsider? They
Mm-hmm.
read mine and Megan's draft and they said yes. And
That's
so,
awesome.
and it also was the first movie, like Megan and I grew up, we met in acting
Mm-hmm.
class together in our 20s. And so
That's
the
awesome.
fact that she played Amanda Carter in that movie,
Mm-hmm.
she played my boss. And that first day of filming, it was me and Megan. And it was all the stuff in the beginning of the movie when I'm with my boss and I'm in the office with
Mm-hmm.
her and all of that. And then we come out and our trailers are right next to each
Wow.
other. And we're like actually acting in scenes with each other. And we're
That's
doing
awesome.
we're doing material that the two of us wrote on a movie that we developed and we created. And
Mm-hmm.
that was such a like surreal experience for the two of us together because yeah, producing by myself before was
Mm-hmm.
obviously very fulfilling. But when you get to do it with your best friend,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, that there's nothing better than that.
No.
I am such a big believer in teams and
Mm-hmm.
in collaboration. And now don't get me wrong, like I am a bulldog, pun
Yeah.
intended, when it comes to like getting things as great as they can be. Like I will not accept average. You know what I mean? Like I'm always pushing for it to be better and better and better and better, but I'm also a really good, really great teammate, and I love teamwork and I love collaboration. And so there was something so beautifully fulfilling about that moment for both of us. And I was losing my dad at the time, and the father-daughter relationship in that movie was an honoring of my dad in a way. It's not mine and my dad's story, but it was definitely an honoring of a father-daughter story. That was really the heart of that movie. And then I wrapped the movie at 4:30 in the morning. I got home at 5 and bed at 5:30. I woke 3 hours later to calls from my mom. I hopped on a plane and I went and said goodbye to my dad that night. So, you know, I think back to that movie and I think it's kind of etched in my heart and my soul forever because of all the things and everything that was happening around it. And most importantly, you know, the father-daughter love story, and making sure that that lives there, you know, forever. I'll always watch it and think like, yeah, I did that for my dad.
Yeah. So heartbreaking.
I know. Thank you.
It's always tough to lose someone you love, and you
It's the worst.
you portrayed grief so well in your movie 5 More Minutes, as well as The Gift of Peace. And 5 More Minutes
was in it.
Of course.
My dad had died 5 weeks prior to 5 More Minutes. And I did not want to go and film that movie. I did not.
You did a great job.
Thank you so much. The Hallmark, that was the one they wanted me to do. I did not want to go do it. And I'm glad I did. You know, I did it for me, and I did it for my heart, and I did it for my grief. But it was extremely painful. Yeah, it was. But I do think that, you know, that one sticks out for a lot of people. And it's a lot of people's favorites. And I think it's because they could feel you can't act your way through grief. Even the best actors can't act grief. Grief is a feeling that you can only know when you have been in it. And so there was an honesty to that movie because of the fact that I had just experienced grief. And in that way, I'm really glad I am the one who did it, because I wouldn't have wanted anybody else to take that role and essentially like play at grief or pretend that they're like, because I think it would have done a disservice to the story and to people at home that have experienced grief themselves. They're just looking for their lives and to be reflected in the story. And I am a big believer in doing that as authentically as possible, you know. But grief, it's just one of those things that like you just can't know the depths and the weight of it unless you've actually been in it. Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to it, because I think everyone wishes that they had 5 more minutes with someone that they love. That
we will all lose people that we love. It is a universal thing that happens to all of us. And I'm really proud of Hallmark for beginning to tell those stories that were deeper and richer and that spoke to people in that way, because we do like to keep it really happy at the holidays and we do like to tell a happy ending, but you know, there's a way to do that ending without blanking it with like happiness, you know. We can go through hard things like grief and we can still learn that we're going to be okay.
I agree.
And that is a very different happy ending than falling in love and having the kiss and everything is perfect. And that they're happy endings, but in very different ways. And so I think once we as a network begin to tell, we opened that up and started to tell richer stories, deeper stories, bigger stories. I really think that was a great thing for our audience, because the feedback that I got on 5 More Minutes was something I never had felt from our audience before. And I was like, they need this. They also need the sad movie that they can connect to. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies I think Hallmark has ever done. I think it was my top favorite of 2021.
Thank you so much.
That
Thank you so
last
much.
scene, I bawl every time.
I can't. Every time. I mean, I was in it. And when I watched the movie, I sobbed like a baby when that happened. And
I was sobbing the first time I watched it.
I think it is one of the best movies they've ever made. Like, the fact that, like, I still to this day, speaking of trophies, the fact that that movie wasn't nominated for a TV Emmy for like best movie on television, and the fact that like I wasn't nominated, the fact that like that movie was so good, and I still to this day I'm like, that is one of the best movies I've ever seen on our network. And that is a testament to, I have to give the shout out to Samantha DePippo and Orly Adelson, who was the creative producer who brought the project to them. They did a beautiful job of executing that story and that script. And what a testament to the two of them, because that movie was so well done. That script was so beautiful. The story was so beautiful. And the director that we had, Linda Lisa.
She's great.
She was the one that made it sing. Like,
she's fantastic.
She was incredible. And in any other director's hands besides her or a Leslie Demetriadis, I don't know what would have happened with the movie, but because it was in the hands of this female director who was so tender and cared so much about every moment, she knocked it out of the park.
She did. I actually just had Linda Lisa on in July.
Oh, she's one of my favorites. She is one of my all-time favorite directors. I've not just on Hallmark, directors I've ever worked with in my life. She is exceptional.
She's great. Yes. Well, at least the movie won where it mattered, which was my podcast awards. So
I did. Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your new Christmas movie, Our Holiday Story. Can you share more about the movie and tease a favorite or memorable moment from filming that project?
Well, let me just say, what a joy. That movie was so much fun to make. We had a blast. Probably one of the most talented cast I've worked with. Sydney and Warren, and I mean, they were all just
they're all great,
exceptional actors. And Princess is also in that. Princess and I did a gift piece together. He's also fantastic. We were so lucky with the cast on that one. But also, I got to tell you again, so much of this is about the writers and the executives, because in the hands of the right executive who really knows story and really knows what they're doing, like Angie Polk. Angie Polk also did World Record Christmas that I was in. And she is just so exceptional with story and development. I'm working with her on another movie right now that I'm acting in, but myself and Megan are writing. And man, to be on the other side of her as a writer, it's so awesome. Joie Botkin was the writer on this, and she, in my opinion, is one of our best holiday writers at Hallmark. She wrote Cranberry Christmas and did an exceptional job with that script. So she wrote our Christmas story. Joie did. Angie was the executive on it, and creative director Angela Mancuso, who was on set with us, that helped develop it with Angie. And Jason, Jason also directed a World Record Christmas. Jason Bork, he also directed this. So we just had like a phenomenal team. The team was so solid, and we just had fun from start to finish. It was just so much joy and fun and laughter. I got to be reunited with one of my dearest friends, phenomenal actors, Lisa DeRue, and that was such a gift. I really, really love this movie, and I think I think our audience is really, really going to like it. And we've gotten great feedback from everybody who's seen it thus far.
That's
And I
awesome.
just went and did some ADR work on it, and it looks great. I'm so
I
excited
can't wait
about
to see it. Yes.
Yeah,
I can't
so
wait to see it.
excited about it. Yeah,
Yes.
it's really fun and it's unique. You haven't seen a movie like this on Hallmark yet.
I can't wait to see it.
Thank
It's
you.
going to be
Thank you
great, of
so
course.
much.
Of course. And before we say goodbye, I always ask my guest to share an inspiring quote or piece of advice. So, do you have an inspiring quote or piece of advice you would like to share?
I will go with something that somebody said recently to me. I was dealing with a work situation, and this person said, "You're going to come up against a lot of challenges you already have in your life and in your career. And this holds true for your personal life as well. But never let your purpose be overshadowed by anybody else's humanness." You know how we sometimes, when like as humans, there's so many things that come up, whether it's pettiness or drama or this or that. And she was like, just always hold on to your purpose, the big idea, the long game. And I think that's true for any situation that we are in. I think we as human beings sometimes can really get caught up in like the drama, you know, especially now we see it play out like on social media and all these things. And the thing that I'm trying to hold true to myself, and I think we all should be doing this, is what are our values, right? My values in my life, you know, I value togetherness. I value honesty a lot. I value truth. These are some of my like core values. I value giving back. I value seeing others, like truly seeing people.
Yeah.
But the question is are we actually walking our talk?
Yeah.
Are we living those values out in our day-to-day life, and how we are in relationship with other people, and how we are in work relationships with other people, and how we, you know, vote, and how we show up in our church, and how we show up in our communities at large. Don't let yourself get caught up in all the drama and all the minutia, the small things, right? You know, that book, like Don't Sweat the Small Stuff.
Yeah.
Hold on to your purpose and your values, and ask yourself in any given situation, remind yourself of your values. And honestly, I know for people who aren't Christians, like this question would be different for them. But like, I do ask myself, like, what would Jesus do in this situation?
Yeah.
Like, what would Jesus do? Because those are my values, or values that I have because I have, like, I want to live like Jesus did in the world. And obviously I'm human and I make mistakes all the time. And I, you know, sometimes don't do those things. And then I have to like check myself, and I go, oh, Nikki, you really messed up. And I have to go back and repair with that person and say, listen, I'm really sorry. That was not on you. That was on me. And I promise to work really hard and make sure that that never happens again, because you don't deserve that. And that happens to all of us. But I think if we're constantly leading and living out those values, those core values in the world, and being honest with ourselves and not letting all the other small things in our lives be bigger than our purpose here in the world, then that is so important for all of us, especially right now, to remember in this world. Like, how are you showing up for others? How are you loving yourself? How are you loving other people? And really, really leading with that. And that, and one thing I will say, if you don't mind me doing a little plug,
No,
I am launching a podcast with my dear friend Elizabeth Humphreys. It's called It won't be competing with yours, because it's a totally different subject matter. But
it's all good.
I'm a part of an organization that my friend Elizabeth started called Mind What Matters, where we give financial grants to caregivers of loved ones who have neurodegenerative illnesses. Alzheimer's and dementia is how it started, but we opened it up to any neurodegenerative illness. And we have a podcast coming out in October, and it's the name of the organization. It's called Mind What Matters. And we will be minding all the things that actually really matter in life and having conversations with everyone from, the top oncologists in the country about breast care awareness to how to deal with grief, talking to therapists about relationships and also navigating grief. But the whole idea of the podcast is caretaking and caregiving. How are we giving care to the people in our lives? How are we giving care to ourselves? Or how are we sometimes not giving care to ourselves when we need it?
Yeah.
Because really and truly, we're all caregivers in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And we really have to be mindful about the way in which we are giving care in the world to other people, and especially the ways that we are caring for ourselves, because so many women fall short because they care for everybody else before they take care of themselves. And so we'll be talking a lot about some of these things that I was talking about just now on Mind What Matters, which comes out in October. And then, but Curious Caterer this Friday, please check it out. I'm so grateful that this is number 5, and it is all because of all of you all Hallmarkies that are listening. Thank you all so very much.
And thank you for taking the time to come on. I had such a great time chatting with you today.
Me too. Thank you, Nicole, for having me.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
All my love.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
All right, everyone. I think that concludes my interview with Nikki DeLoach. If you enjoyed this episode and are watching on YouTube, you can like this video and share your thoughts about Curious Caterer and Our Holiday Story and your favorite Nikki DeLoach movie in the comments. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure to rate and review, as your feedback is always greatly appreciated. If you want to stay up to date on all of my episodes, you can subscribe to this channel on YouTube or follow along on Spotify, and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when those new episodes come. You can also find the podcast on Instagram and Facebook at Swing My Heart Podcast and Twitter at Swing My Heart Pod. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Love y'all. Bye.